Hello, everyone. This is criminal profiler Pat Brown. I don't know why I'm laughing, but I think I've lost my mind. But anyway, welcome everybody in the chat room. I'm still thinking of little things in my head and just how things are. Now Lisa S is here as well, and Sarah, I'll say hello to you twice, and and everybody else who I've already said hello to. But before I do any more, can you see me? Like actually see me, not a black screen. Can you see me not blurry? Tell me that before I go anywhere. And while I'm saying that to you guys, if you're new to the channel, I've never been here before. This is a patron only live, but I put them all public later. If you're coming to see the live later and you would love to be involved in the live, please do click below and join Patreon. 8 lives a month. We have a great community. If you don't want to do that, I still love you. Just subscribe. Please subscribe to the channel. That makes a huge difference for us folks who do not have 1 million subscribers. You can see and hear. Lex says, I'm not seeing through today. Yeah, there was a weird glitch and my things changed, and what normally worked suddenly was not quite correct. So yeah, I was see-through one day. But that was a computer issue. But I've been dealing with a Verizon issue, and I just want to let you. What? Pat? Wait, I got to check this out. Okay. Wow. Pat needs to slow down the chat. Lots of laughs. The chat or me? Because everybody says I talk too fast because I'm from New Jersey originally. But Verizon came. The reason I'm saying these things is because I've had 3 videos. In the last 3 videos, my screen has frozen. My internet has dropped. It's been a nightmare. And I've spent time calling Verizon, and I wasn't getting anywhere with them. They were being very stubborn and like, ma'am, I don't know what your problem is. It's like, my problem is my internet doesn't work. But finally, my daughter called, and she got them to come out. And the first 2 dudes that came out, they were like looking at wiring and everything. And they were like, nah, not the brightest. But anyway, the 3rd guy showed up. And it turned out he actually knew my son-in-law's family from way, way back. So he spent like 4 hours here. And he looked up at some point, and the other 2 dudes had disappeared. But he dealt with the wiring. He replaced parts everywhere. It was amazing what he did. And there were so many things he did to replacing all kinds of possible issues that I'm hoping that he's been with Verizon forever, and also with Bell Atlantic. So it shows how old he is if you live in Maryland. And he seemed to know what he was doing. And then he gave us his private number. So he said, any problems, call back. I'm like, I can't believe this happened. So do I hope that this means that the disconnection problems are solved? I do. People don't realize what that does. It destroys your entire channel. And you work so hard to get your channel going, and then Verizon ruins it. It's like, that's sweet. Anyway, I'm glad you can see and hear me. If you see anything go wrong, let me know. He has a crush on, wait a minute. That's Tupac Shakur. Sarah and Tupac sitting in a tree. Okay. Sarah loves Tupac. Okay, but Tupac is dead, so she'll have to wait a while to see him. But he was talking to me before the show, and he said hello to Sarah. So, we all get along. All right. That's the first thing I wanted to say, just because I had to say that. Secondly, normally I don't do such a long beginning here, but I have to also say, I did this, the last show I did on the Swiss nanny who burned up a baby, she was found not guilty of burning up a baby, but anyway, she was. Anyway, so I knew that would be demonetized by YouTube, and somebody asked me to do the case, and I hate to not do cases because they're going to be demonetized. But if they are demonetized, you lose hours of research, hours of preparing, hours of the show. You just get, you cannot support the channel that way. So I decided to demonetize it myself before they did, and do a live public, which I rarely do, which allows super super stickers and all the other super chat things. And you all know I'm so uncomfortable with that stuff because it's like things fly in during the show and you feel like a stripper and you're like, oh, thanks for the 10, thanks for the 20. Not my thing. But I will say this, you guys, because a lot of people who supported me during that show were patrons, and I'm just absolutely thrilled that you cared that much. And I just because I want to thank you all, I want to read. I have to take off my glasses because for some reason I do better without them now. That's another story. Anyway, so before you even started the show, Sky, Ricky, and Benny Thompson came forth and gave it a contribution before the show even started. And I'm like, what? Okay, cool. That's nice. And then I just want to read you. Pam came in, and then Susanna, and then Nina, and then Meg from Australia. And she said, really love your sense of humor. Thank you. And I need it because otherwise I lose my mind. And pragmatism. I appreciate that. And then Mary came in, and Texas Redhead came in. And I'm not going to give you all the money amounts, but my gosh, I'm so thankful. Hold on a second. I'm having issues. They're my tech. No, don't do this to me. My technical issues. Okay. Not that I ever have any. That's because I have this. This is my laptop. This is my iPad. Over here, I have another laptop, which I can only do certain things on. But one day when I dropped it, if you press on the left side, it's the right side. If you press on the right side, it's the left side. Go figure. So anyway, I have to press on the wrong side to get things. Anyway, so then after that, Lisa, wait a minute, what happened here? I just want to tell you what happened because it's just crazy. Okay, let me find where I'm at. Okay. This was a Swiss nanny one, so I got to get in line here. Okay, so then Pam and Susanna and Nina came in, and Meg came in, Alyssa came in, Mary. These are all donations to the channel. Texas Redhead, Molly, Sky Ricky came back. Kung Fu Panda came in and said, for the G-string, because I said it's like being a stripper. Thanks a lot for allowing us today. And I'm like, nobody wants to see me in a G-string. Oh my goodness. Okay. And then Jennifer came in and Sarah came back and said, Pat, did you know you're not transparent? Thank you, Sarah. Just mock me, why don't you? It hurts my feelings. Ellie came in and said, grab a Dunkin' on me, Dunkin' Donuts. Loretta came in and said, this was funny. Loretta came in and I ignored her like for a really long time. And people like, Pat doesn't know how to do this on these public lives with these super things, these super chats. And apparently Loretta came in and like at the top, there was like this bright color, which said she gave a lot of money, which she did. Thank you, Loretta. It's amazing. I had no idea. So people were like laughing at me. And then I finally realized why they were laughing. Thank you, Loretta. That was awesome of you. And then Sarah came back and she said, she gave three donations in a row saying, Pat loves gangster rap. I do. And well, there's something for the jukebox and for my ant farm. I'm not sure what the ant farm. I used to have an ant farm, but it died. Anyway. Okay, hold on one second. I'm trying to work this very bad. This is a horrible, I'm on the wrong. This is a horrible laptop. I would never recommend to anybody, but it's an extra one. So, and then Aunt Deanie, wait a minute. And then Clarissa came in and said, and then Sky Ricky came back she said for my mouse, which was the 11 mice that were running through my house. I got rid of them today. They're mouse free. And Aunt Deanie said, with a very nice offer there. I love you, Pat. You're less than a cup of coffee. Well, per month, yes, but for your donation, no. I would like 4 cups of coffee. And then Alyssa came in and Sarah came back. And you said you're a rock star. Oh, nice. And then Harper came in and said, thanks for a great show. Marjorie came in and Carrie came in. Now, just to explain, this is not my kind of thing. And for not being my kind of thing, my patrons have my back on this. And this did indeed make being able to do a demonetized video worthwhile doing, and also allowed some people who aren't used to being, they can't come to the show usually because they're not patrons. They get a chance to see what it's like. So I think it served its purpose. So thank you guys. It's awesome. And one more thing, just before I start the show, which is going to be in exactly 30 seconds, because some of you ask, and some of you don't, I don't care. But anyway, I like to show something that's happened. So this is my most recent. How do I put that? Okay, I got to straighten that out. Okay, wait a minute. All right, this is my most recent painting. This is actually soft pastel, and somebody actually had the kindness to say it looked like Cezanne, which I hadn't been looking at before I did this. So I was absolutely thrilled. And this actually, I started with a photo of South India. I had a photo of South India with farmlands and haystacks. As you can see, it did not turn out to be South India with any of those things. I don't even know where this is now, but take your pick. But this is now not for sale at $50. But when I have 1 million viewers, it will be 5,000. Just want to let you know. So this is how profilers keep their minds. All right. So, oh my goodness. You saw it on Facebook. Thank you very much. This was during art class, and I had no idea what I was doing. And I have this weird thing of not actually knowing what I'm doing. Oh, you can paint by numbers. Hey, whatever works. By the way, just to say this, I never liked painting by numbers, but I love drawing with those Paradise pencils. And they used to have these wonderful little teeny, that does age me. But they had like famous paintings, and they had these tiny little spots, and you did them all with Paradise pencils, and they were gorgeous when you finish. It looked like the painting, but it was a Paradise pencils, Venus pencils, also known as. But they killed that, and now when you see that, the areas are like this big, and it's no fun anymore. So now you know how old I am. Eastern Oregon. All right, I'm good. I'm good with that. People said to me, "Where is this at?" I'm like, I have no idea because obviously it's not South India. Something went wrong in my painting. My pastels just went wrong. I like to see things develop. I never draw a picture. I just start messing around, and that's what comes out. And I just find that fun. And I don't like drawing at all. And I just like doing stuff and letting it show up. So anyway, Sarah says, I do pour paint. I redid my whole kitchen. That is awesome. I have another kitchen for you, Sarah. I'll tell you where I live. All right. Okay. So, all right. Enough of my playing around, and I've lost all the people who've never been here before. But you're my patrons. And so that's what's important. Now let's get to the breaking news. Okay. And so far I haven't been killed by Verizon. That's really what I wanted to know before I started the whole show. So, all right. Breaking news. All right. One of the things I hate so much, because I've worked in the media for so long, and I no longer work much for the media, but I spent 15 years in it doing thousands of appearances. And that is not an exaggeration. I did 3,000 plus. Anyway, what always annoyed me was when the media, who's supposed to be full of real journalists, they don't care about truth. Whoever hires them, whatever media outlet it is, doesn't care about truth. So anyway, there's this new one coming out today about Maddie McCann. Oh my God, you're not going to believe this, but explosive new evidence unveiled in the Maddie McCann case. The investigation into the 16-year-old disappearance of Maddie McCann from a Portuguese holiday apartment takes a dramatic turn as witnesses reveal vital information about the prime suspect. Oh my God. Do we now have information that proves Christian B was actually involved in the disappearance of Maddie McCann? Could that be Jerusalem Post? Or are you just a bunch of, I can't say the word, I'll get demonetized. But anyway, let me read it to you. What did they say? What is happening? Oh my God, what is happening? The primary suspect, 47-year-old Christian Bruckner, typically referred to as just Christian B in the British press because they're silly, all right, was identified by a new witness. Do you think it's outside the vacation flat in Praia Rouge? The day, the night, whatever, Madeline McCann went missing? No, he was seen, this guy, Christian B. Oh, come on. Hold on a second. No, it's my iPad that's screwing up. Okay. He was seen fleeing. Oh my God. Christian B was seen fleeing from the vacation flat the McCanns were staying. They were fleeing the scene of a rape, according to a report. What rape? Oh, yes. The suspect, dressed entirely in black, was reportedly seen by passers-by as he scaled an apartment building with the intent to break into the room of Hazel Bethan, a student of Irish descent who he allegedly raped in June of 2004 in Praia da Roja, Portugal. Not in Praia da Luz, Praia da Roja. All right, so according to an unnamed source, because you know, the way we use unnamed sources is not because the mafia is going to kill them, but because they're telling you a bunch of complete crap. A new witness, another unnamed person, has contacted the police. How many years later? 20? Whatever it is. He was starting his early morning shift at a nearby hotel, and he said he saw a man dressed in black running from the apartment block. Now, he apparently didn't bother to tell them back then. The witness further claimed that he had seen the person remove his mask. Of course, I positively identifying him as Christian B. What, the dude knew Christian B? He worked at a hotel. Some dude ran by him, ripped off a mask, supposedly because he's stupid, and some hotel worker right away knew he was Christian B. Or could it be that after all the crap all over the internet about Christian Bruckner, this guy goes, I got something to say. I'll just say this guy was Christian B. I'm pretty sure that is more likely. All right, so this was a let's see, blah 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 blah. Disturbingly, because you better tell people it's disturbing. This was just 16 kilometers away from the holiday apartment where 4-year-old McCann disappeared in May 2007. Who gives a crap? It's a ways away. I mean, you know, when we live wherever we live, just because something happened 15 miles away or 30 miles away doesn't mean the same person did it. Just last year, Hazel, now 40 years old, waived her right to anonymity and disclosed her identity. Oh, she said, when Christian B's name was put in the press, I knew it was him. I was sick. Okay. Breaking news in the Madeline McCann case. What was it? What was that statement again? Explosive new evidence. Jerusalem Post, you're crap. You're just freaking crap. It's embarrassing that people call themselves journalists and a real media outlet. I used to say newspaper, but they don't quite exist anymore. A media outlet put this garbage up. It's embarrassing. It's bad enough when it's on YouTube, but at least those people aren't anybody half the time. Some people are. But Jerusalem Post, you're supposed to be an actual media source. That's Jamaican for what a bunch of garbage. Isn't that amazing? Oh, my goodness. Just unbelievable. So that's the first one, which I call, you know, people talk about clickbait. And they talk about it with most of YouTube, but they do it everywhere in all the newspapers now. And it's embarrassing. It really is embarrassing. I'm going to say, Florence, this is garbage. This is garbage. And I want to, this is one of the things as a profiler, not against you, Florence, but I want to stay away from. What happened is the case is very basic and very simple. Parents left their children unattended because they wanted to go have drinks at a location very nearby. They thought if they gave them a little extra, in my opinion, maybe if they gave them a little extra medication, they would sleep and they wouldn't have to worry about it. They'd come back every 30 minutes, make sure the kids were fine. This is called negligence. 3 and 4-year-old kids cannot be left alone, regardless if you give them medicine or not. But giving them medicine gives you the idea that they'll sleep and no biggie. There is zero evidence they were swingers. There's zero evidence of sexual abuse. There is zero evidence of any big conspiracy. All this stuff is garbage that's pushed all over the internet. And it drives me nuts because it's not based on evidence. If you're going to say that crap, make sure it's based on evidence. Not you, Florence, but I know it's all over the internet. It's all over the internet. And there's zero proof that any of that is true. And I don't believe it for a minute. I believe these were just people going to a nice location to have a vacation that had the arrogance of thinking if we just do this, it's all perfectly reasonable. I totally believe that the vacation flat was locked up and they went down the road. I was in Praia de Luz. I went to Praia de Luz. I spent time with Gonzalo Amaral. And I went to the club. I went to all the areas, and I will stand by my book, which is I'm not sure if it is below, but my book is found. The Profile of the Disappearance of Maddie McCann is found every place but Amazon, which is where the McCanns removed it from. But don't believe crap you hear all over the place. Okay, unless they're going to provide you with evidence, assume it's not true. All right, start with that, and that's kind of the crux of all profiling. Start with evidence, not start with rumors, because my God, rumors are everywhere, and people don't back them up with any evidence. So now for another, I wanted to give you another another headline. Okay, this is the next headline. Jodi Huisentruit. She disappeared. She was 27 years old when she disappeared. And she was in Iowa when she disappeared. She's actually out of Minnesota, but she moved to Iowa to take this, job with the media. And she was a very popular person on TV news. And so what is this picture? I'm sorry, I got the teeny little pictures now. Okay, that's not the picture. What is she doing? I'm going to talk about her later. Why is her picture there? That's Maya. Okay, let me move Maya out of the way here. I don't know why Maya's there. Okay, I'm going to move her down here. Okay. Little teeny pictures you can hardly see, so you don't know what you're talking about. All right, so Jodi Huisentruit. All right, so we have some new statements about Jodi Huisentruit. Now, it's been a really long time. Okay, it has been. She disappeared in 1995. I did talk about this case already, not in a full video because there's really nothing much to talk about. She was in her apartment. She was late for work. Somebody called her. She goes, oh my God, I'm on my way. She went out to her car. She got abducted right there. Clearly, she got abducted at her car because her key was bent. Her stuff was dropped. Somebody abducted her. She's never been found. Who do I think it was? Most likely a stalker of some sort, because that's what it looks like. Okay. Now, here's the news statement that just came out. So it's all over the news. How will the mystery of missing anchor Jodi Huisentruit finally be unraveled after 30 years? New details emerge of a fling she had with a man she met just 10 days before she disappeared, and a photograph reveals location of their final date. This comes from this PI that's known as private investigator. Okay, Steve Ridge. He says he has information about her disappearance. Oh my God. This is Ridge. Private investigation takes the lead. Oh, God. I warn people. I warn families about private investigators. I do. You know why? And I don't know if he's working for free. There's two reasons a PI will do work. One is because he's earning a living. That's reasonable. I think that's, everybody deserves to earn a living. I don't care if he charges. But he should charge for something he's legitimately doing. And I have worked with families where they've had private investigators, and I've said, whoa, stop. Let me just reanalyze this crime, and I'll tell you whether your PI is just sucking you dry of all your money. I had one family spent $20,000 on this PI. I looked at what she said, and I said, she's completely wrong. And they eventually caught the guy, and she was completely wrong. I'm like, I could have saved you $20,000, but you believed everything she said. And the problem is when you're earning $50 to $100 an hour or more, whatever you're charging, you will follow every rabbit hole there is to follow. You will do everything. You don't care because you're earning money per minute. Okay, if you were paid to solve the crime, you will get nothing. But desperate families will hire PIs because that person will flatter them, tell them they care about them, and all that kind of garbage. Do all the sad-looking stuff with them, and then they will go out and they will come back with, "Oh, I got an interesting tip. I have a good lead," and they will take their money. Now, good PIs, you all know I'm not talking about you. If you're a great PI, I'm not talking about you. Good at private investigators are worth it. The problem is there's a lot of ones out there who will simply go along with the program. Then you have a second version over here. Those are the guys that will do it for publicity, just because they can end up in the media. I don't know what this rich dude is, but I'm not impressed. I'll tell you why I'm not impressed. You know what the new news is? He went to the, okay, so here's the new news. Let me read you first before I show you the new news. An Iowa television anchor, Jodi Huisentruit, had a secret fling with a mystery man just 10 days before going missing, nearly 3 decades ago, according to a private investigator. Yeah, because the police already knew this 3 decades ago. This is not new information. This is a guy they investigated. She was a secret final fling. Oh, get out of here. It's called a date. You know, my God, the woman's 27 years old. She meets a nice guy. She hangs out with him. Now it's a secret final fling. And you know why it's so secret? Because she didn't let everybody know about it in the world. Well, why should she only do 10 days? She wants to go and get to know the dude. She's going to tell everybody in creation and go on the news and say, oh, by the way, there's breaking news tonight. I'm having a time with this fella. Well, who does that? And especially you're in the media, you're not going to like rat it all over the place. You're just going to go quietly and do what you got to do because you're like a human being who wants to have a relationship. Maybe. The police already knew this crap. They investigated this guy. They actually watched the guy, went through his trash because she had just gotten to know him in recent days before she went missing. And the question, of course, is there anything new in her life that would cause what changed? All right. So he says, through my digging, I learned that Jodi had a very secret. Oh, I'm going to throw up. Sorry. It irritates me. Final fling. Well, it was only final because she got murdered. You know, she wasn't planning on it being final. What is a fling? What the heck is a fling? I mean, a fling is something different. A fling is where you go on a cruise and last couple of days of the cruise, you hook up with a dude you'll never see again and you have a fling. She was getting to know the guy. It wasn't a fling. She was dating him, for God's sakes. With a man she just met 10 days before she went missing. Ridge tracked down the unidentified lover. No, he wasn't unidentified at all. Actually, I think it's even on Wikipedia. Whom police had cleared years ago. So how is this news? But he believes, God, this guy needs a lesson in profiling. He believes jealousy was a factor in Huisentrut's murder, since she had strong admirers and that her newfound love interest might infuriate other suitors. Oh my God, get out of here. Look, I have one of my family, one of my relatives as a very popular TV news host. She did morning news. She did all kinds of news. She's married to my nephew. She's awesome. She's cute. She's all of these things. She didn't spend her life with worrying about every moment with stalkers. And every moment there was somebody she was having all kinds of trysts all over the place. She was just a normal young woman. Then she met my nephew. Then they got married. Happy day. They had a couple kids. They're great. Okay. There are TV hosts all over the world that are just regular TV hosts. Now, can they have stalkers? Sure. Jill Dando, I personally think it was a stalker. I do not believe for a minute Netflix is crapping other people's crap. That's some kind of nefarious, mafia group killed her because she was investigating them. That's some garbage. She's a TV host. Do I believe a stalker got it? Yes, because I think they had the right guy. Barry George, I think that's his name. He had a thing about stalking women, and she was on TV. So it does make you a target. I have been stalked. So I understand that if you're on TV, this can happen. But it's not because you started dating and somebody was jealous of the date. That's not it. They're stalking you just because you're on TV. It has nothing to do with this poor guy that she was dating. So anyway, so fresh details about her love interest. Oh, get out of here. And he was a 27-year-old man who's from out of state. Both 27 years old. Oh my God, that's really creepy, huh? So they hit it off supposedly. And then, okay, so if you want to see the breaking news. I know you're waiting for it. I mean, this astounding stuff. The last place she went on a date before she went missing. Here it is. Oh my God, get ready for it. Yeah, they sat in some chairs, had a drink, and looked at the water. Woof, woo. That is so, I mean, I don't even know what to say. I mean, I'm just so blown away. I mean, this might break the whole freaking case. Get out of here. I'm going to check your comments because I can't go further with a absolute bizarre nonsense. It's just disgusting. It's disgusting to me. All right. Now she's not in any water. But hey, he'll probably push that one next. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Maybe her sexual secret fling was a water sexual sadist. Well, I do know one of them because if you've ever followed some of my stories, I actually did have to participate in an online men underwater drowning thing. So I posted as 15 who got drowned by men. So could be. Oh my God. Clearly living a double life with a mystery man. Oh. So this is what's taking over the news. There's breaking evidence because people come to me and they say, oh my God, there's new news about Jodi Huisentruit. This PI has found all this stuff. He has not found out anything. In my opinion, he's just a scammer. That's what I'm sorry. If you want to prove me wrong, Mr. Scammer, you just prove me wrong. But when you go out and tell garbage like this, you have zero idea what happened to Jodi. It was zero idea there's any jealousy. You're just making up stuff. You have none of the evidence proves that. It simply proves somebody grabbed her. She was getting into her car. That's it. I would say it's most likely a stalker, but I don't even know that. I'm not going to go where you're going because you're just making up nonsense. And people believe it, and the media loves it. So that's what they do. Yeah, poor Dade. I mean, if he didn't kill her, which I doubt he did because they were getting along, so why would he kidnap her? I mean, it makes really no sense. But yeah, nothing like dating somebody and they get murdered. Yeah, that's unfortunate. All right. So anyway, these things drive me crazy. So let's see what I had next. Now I have to try to figure out what it was because I can't see the little pictures. Who is it? Oh, I'm going to put that at the end just because, Sarah, I know you love this topic. I want to talk about it, but I want a very short discussion because I'm not talking about the disease. Okay. So anyway, I want to talk about, let me see what the next one is. Who is it? Tupac. All right, Tupac. All right, so that's for you, Sarah. So you can talk all you want about Tupac. Okay, so Tupac Shakur. They finally have arrested somebody. And it's kind of interesting because it took them, let me find the article on it. Okay, here we go. They took them, how many years? All right. And it wasn't like he wasn't a suspect for like forever. 1996 was when he was shot. In case you don't know who Tupac Shakur is, great rapper. Great rapper. He should have been, he died very young and he should have gotten a chance to do more stuff because he was really, really that good and incredibly cute. Okay, so, but unfortunately, gang affiliated. And, my opinion on a lot of stuff with rappers is, dudes, get away from the gang stuff. Stop being connected with gangs. And some aren't even connected with gangs, but they like to show stuff that shows guns and money and women with the name B starting their names. And it's all about that gang life. It's all about selling drugs, making money. And it's not a good thing for young people to see. So there are rappers out there who go a totally different route. They do great rap, but it's not about bad things. It's showing kids a great life ahead of them. They're few and far between. And Sarah, you know me. I do love the sound of gangster rap. So, and it does date me because I didn't realize it was so long ago, but it's like 40 years ago now. It was like the 80s and 90s. I'm like, But I do love the sound of gangster rap. I do. I'm And I did some PI work during that time and stuff. So I remember just driving through certain neighborhoods that I was working in, and hearing the gangster rap. And I liked it. But what they said wasn't exactly healthy. And I think it's even gotten worse. I think gangster rap alluded to things a lot more, and now they're just trashy. So anyway, the personal opinion on where rap has gone. But anyway, so Tupac. So a grand jury has indicted Dwayne Keith I don't know how to pronounce it, Keffy D. Davis on charges of murder with use of a deadly weapon in connection with the 1996 killing of rapper Tupac Shakur. This is in Las Vegas. This is a dude that they have arrested. Now, it wasn't like they didn't know who this guy was way back in the day. Shakur was shot and killed while leaving a boxing match in Las Vegas on the Strip. His untimely death, he was just 25, has been the subject of conspiracy theories and a decades-long investigation. The conspiracy theories went far away from just the fact they're like two rival gangs, went into the music industry and a whole bunch of other stuff. And, as conspiracy theories do, they make money. At Friday's news conference, authorities painted Davis as the ringmaster of a plot to kill Shakur as retaliation after an attack on his nephew. Davis has long placed himself at the scene of the crime, saying he was in the front seat of the white Cadillac that came up beside Shakur's car when shots rang out from the back seat, killing the musician. The rapper was shot 4 times and died 6 days later. For 27 years, the family of Tupac Shakur has been waiting for justice. So the investigation started way back when, and it wasn't like they sort of didn't know who did it, but they said this guy was in the front seat. He didn't actually commit the actual murder, but supposedly he had the gun that he gave to somebody to commit the murder. And so time went on, and here's what happened. All right, so what happened was, let me find it here. When they were in the white Cadillac, Mr. Davis took the gun that he had obtained and provided it to the passengers in the rear seat. A copy of the indictment states Anderson and Smith were both in the back seat and does not specify which man pulled the trigger, which doesn't matter because they're both dead. Everybody's dead but this guy anyway. So, but in 2018, so then basically what happened was they knew this guy was kind of like the guy who led it all, and he got the guy in the back seat to shoot, but they're all dead. And in 2018, when this guy had cancer, he started blabbing. So he started saying, I was there, this guy did this, and ho, 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 and all that stuff. So then they started investigating him. They went to his home to seize a copy of the memoir he authored. Okay. And in the memoir, he described himself as one of only 2 living witnesses to Shakur's shooting. The other one, one of them is alive. The other one being Knight, who is now serving time in prison for manslaughter in an unrelated case. So anyway, he had confessed to the crime. Get this one. He had confessed to the crime in 2009, but the information was unable to be used, according to a former police detective. One of those, people can't give their name. We sat him down, and in 2009, he confessed to his role in the murder along with other co-conspirators. But they had a proffer agreement, so we couldn't utilize that information. What is a proffer agreement? A proffer is an agreement in which a suspect agrees to provide potentially useful information in an investigation, but the statements made generally cannot be used as evidence against the suspect. That works out well for that dude. So anyway, in 2018, they refocused on it, and now they have arrested him. Do I think he was involved? Yes. Do I think he was a shooter? Probably not. Probably just like he says. He gave him a gun and said, shoot. And they did. What will come of it? He's 60. He's had cancer and he's 60 something. He's 66 or something like that. Let me find the age of this guy. They don't want to tell us the age here. Well, I think he's in his late 60s. about my age. And he's had cancer. So by the time they get this thing to court, I think the police will be happy to say, or the prosecution, that we're finally able to do it. And a lot of people are like, well, you left the guy. Why didn't you go after the guy more strongly then? And they said, well, we were building evidence. We were waiting for him to keep talking long enough where we'd have enough evidence to convict him. So they left him out on the streets for 20 years. So that was their thinking. Maybe they just knew they couldn't convict him on whatever they had. But am I thrilled that they've got him finally? It's underwhelming. It's like, but Sarah, you might disagree. You may be absolutely thrilled. Let me say, this is not what, wait a minute. This is not what justice looks like. I wouldn't think so. I would not think so at all. Yeah, that agreement smells like the Homolka spirit. Homolka got off way too easy on, in fact, she's a freaking serial killer. And now she's married and has, I think he's older than 60. I thought he's like 66. Am I wrong? I thought he was older than that. It does seem strange he was only arrested so many years later. It seems like a random time to take him now. Because he did this memoir thing, or opened his mouth in 2018, and I took him another 5 years to even get anywhere. Oh my God. Wait a minute, sell more t-shirts. Pin a tail on it and call it a donkey. Yeah, I'm gonna say that might be realistic there. So it's underwhelming for people who wanted to see action taken many years ago. Now, admittedly, Tupac didn't run with the best crowd. And therefore, and I say this to every rapper out there, rappers get killed right and left, and they get killed right and left because they keep bad company. When you keep bad company involved in violence, whether you're the one who's committing the violence, you're just next to the one committing the violence, you go down. And speaking of that, leads me to the next story I want to tell you about. Okay, because there's no place to go with that one except, gee, that sucks. So anyway, in Prince George's County, right near me, I swear, let's see, if I drove 6 minutes, I would be on the road that this happened. This is a slow road. It's one of these roads goes through like a neighborhood, and then it has these, these circles, so you have to slow down even more, so you can barely get through the neighborhood. And there was this car crash, and I'm like, and 4 people died in this car crash. Car crash burned up. Here it is. Look at this thing. It is burning up. Look at that. They hit a tree. Thing went on fire. And this is what it looked like after the fact. Everyone died in the car. The people in the neighborhood came running out trying to save the people in the car. They saw them in the fire going like this, and they couldn't get them out of the car. And I'm looking at this going, that's a slow road. I get bored on that road. I got a Mazda Miata. I want to put the top down. But I go around the circle. Around the circle. I'm like, how the hell do you hit a tree on that road? I'm like, I kind of like, didn't make sense to me until I found out the story. All right. 4 people dead in that vehicle. And it's both an irritating story and a very sad story. Okay. So let me see the basic story on this. All right. So this occurred, it was a single vehicle crash. So the person driving it was driving too fast and crashed into a tree. So there was not another vehicle involved in this. It was a single vehicle. 4 people found dead inside the car. At the time, they said ages and identities are unknown at this time. And I went, teenagers. Right away. This has got to be teenagers. And there has to be something else bigger than they were just going down this road, like having fun. It didn't make sense to me. They had to be speeding at a heck of a high rate. All right. So let me find out. Okay, that's one article. Let me find the other article. Hold on a second. Okay, here we go. Here's the real story. So what happened was the police officers, this is only 7:30 at night. We're not even talking late at night. There's not even drinking involved, okay? Officers in the area of Lotsford Road, which is right next to this place where it happened, saw a Kia Sorento with expired temporary tags. They saw, and they tried to stop the car. The driver of the vehicle sped off and the officers lost sight of it. Minutes later, a witness said the driver of the Kia lost control and crashed into a tree. So it's like 2.5 miles from where the police stopped them. They found that earlier that day, their vehicle had been stolen by gunpoint, carjacked out of Greenbelt, Maryland, which is about 25 minutes from there. It's another location, Washington, D.C. area. It was a stolen car. So there are 4 teenagers in this. Now, mind you, we've had problems. Here's another example. Just in Greenbelt, this is also in Greenbelt, the place where this car was carjacked. This is just about 6 weeks prior. The vehicle on the right pulled up. The 3 guys jumped out, pointed a gun at this guy, shot him in the head. He survived, but this is a carjacking 6 weeks prior in Greenbelt, exactly the location that this car was carjacked out of. Now, let's look at the sadness part. Here is a 15-year-old girl. Here is a 17-year-old boy. That's her cousin. They were in the back seat of the car. The family says she would never have gotten in that car if she had known it was stolen. Neither would her cousin have gotten in that car if they were known it was stolen. They both attended the same high school in the area. And it was actually a pretty good high school, a lot of math and tech stuff. But they got in a car. And she said, the mother, she wouldn't have gotten in that car if she'd known it was stolen. Well, why the hell is she getting in the car with whoever was in the front seat? How come you're not talking about who the driver is? She's 15. What is she doing just jumping into somebody's car? Mom, sorry, I know you lost your daughter, but you don't let your daughter choose who she's going to run around town with. 2 of those people are from this one school. There's also, so anyway, the school put this out. Okay, wait, but let me put out what was also said, which I thought was just crazy. Hold on, let me see if I can find the rest of the article. This came from our, hold on. This came from, hold on. Okay, that's not what I wanted. Why did they? Sorry, something's screwing up here. Okay, the people and the powers that be, the legislators of our town say how terrible this was. This was a tragic accident, and somebody made some bad choices. Now, if you look at what the school says, this is the school. It's our profound sadness with heavy heart, tragic loss of these children. They were involved in a fatal car accident, tragically did not survive. And then they said, blah, 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 they're going to be missed. Incredibly difficult time. They want to support the kids at the school for, having lost their friends, which is totally reasonable. Now, you're supposed to speak to your child. Look at the dots. Speak to your child regarding the crisis and provide them with accurate information regarding the crisis in language he or she can understand. Let me give you that language. Criminals. 4 people died because of criminal activity. This is not a bad choice. Criminal activity. Carjacking with a gun is criminal activity. And you sitting there and playing it down to some bad choice. A bad choice is, I went with my friends and I drank too many beers. That's a bad choice. I went and decided I'm going to jump off a bridge because I thought it was cool. I didn't realize it was going to break my entire body. That's a bad choice. Taking a gun, putting it to somebody's head, and taking their car is not a bad choice. It's a criminal activity. Why don't you say children who participate in criminal activities die? Your kid hangs out with kids who participate in criminal activities, they die. Can you not be honest? But nobody is talking about the criminal activities. They're only saying bad choices or it's a sad situation. It just disgusts me. Because if I had my kids, if my kids are going to that school, and I might have said exactly this when my kids are growing up. If my kids are going to that school, and oh my God, these kids died, I would put them in a row. And that's what happens when you commit crime. That's what happens. And if you hang out with people who commit crime, that's what happens to you. There's a reason your mother says, you just don't go hang out with anybody. Don't jump in anybody's car. Just don't go any place. If you don't know, You come here, you make sure that I approve of who you get in the car with when you're 15 years old, because I know a thing more than you. And you, some dude from some place, two guys, you don't even know who they are, you're going to jump in their car and run off with them? What the heck? You get killed. I think the schools should talk about criminal activity, and they don't. And neither do the legislators. They just go, oh, it's just a sad thing. Sad thing. And on that note, let me put two more up here before I check your comments on this. All right, so this one too. Let me find it. Oh, here. Same DC, Washington, DC. And I live here. So, hey, my picture's missing. Son of a... Hold on one second. I'm going to be quiet because I always freeze when I do this. Okay, check this out. This is CVS. That's CVS. Where are all the products on the shelves? This is the same store. Do you think the store is closed? That's not a closed store. Listen to this. 45 or more kids in DC routinely steal from CVS, then stomp on food and beverages as shelves remain empty. Big groups of kids, like 45 or more, walk in before school, after school, and late at night to steal chips and drinks. Fox 5 reported. What's happening to those kids? Nothing. And you know, the other day I was up in Bowie, Maryland, which is a nice area. Bowie high school kids get out. They come over to the little strip mall. There's a boxing place there. One of those Mayweather boxing places. Guy has a sign outside. Those kids came over and stole his sign, started running off with it. He runs out after him because he's a boxer, you know. He runs after him and he gets the sign back. He puts it back and cusses him out. Goes and calls the police because he's pissed. They come back and steal it again before the police get there. He runs them off again. The police go, we don't know what to do because Chick-fil-A over there, they close the whole restaurant down and only do drive-through because of the high school kids. Because, I guess the high school kids are making bad choices. They're just not criminals. They're criminals. And you're going to not treat them like criminals. You're going to have criminal behavior. And this drives me insane. And here's another great example of this. Check this woman out. See if I found her picture. Let's see if here she is. Here she is. Check this woman out. This woman, this made me laugh though. Oh my God. So anyway, let me find it. Okay. She's an artist. You can see she has paintings on the wall. And this is what happened to her. DC artist paintings were stolen, but she refused to call the police. DC artist Ana Yelsi Velasco Sanchez celebrated her first ever solo exhibition at the Festival Center in Adams Morgan last month. This used to be a really cool thing, and you got to, show your work. It was an honor, she said, until someone stole her artwork on September 14th. The two paintings that this person stole were on the wall behind the front desk. He took one off the wall and slipped it into a bag. Then he took the other one off and put it in the bag, and he walked right out of the store, like all the shoplifters are doing these days. Velasco Sanchez, whose art focuses on justice and liberation, said the theft occurred in less than 3 minutes. She has surveillance video of the thief, but refuses to take it to detectives. I'm not scared to call them. I'm not willing to call them. For me, the harm that comes out of engaging with the police is more violent than anything that has occurred. The artist was at a talk, and talking about policing and mass incarceration during the crime inside the festival center. I was really hurt. You were hurt? You're encouraging crime, and then you're hurt when crime happens to you, but you're hurt. Okay, I don't really care. I don't even feel sorry for you. But half of me was relieved it wasn't a member of my own community. Oh, it was okay that, you were relieved they weren't Hispanic? I'm not sure what community they were part of. I'm calling it the criminal community. It felt like a violation because they stole your shit. You know what I mean? That's called crime. And not just of me and my art, but of the space and what it represents. She says this, which I think is pretty funny, though. She said she doesn't know what the motivation was. She doesn't believe the thief will return her art. But this is kind of funny. Then she says, after she says, I can't believe they stole my stuff when I was all for them. She goes, I'm an abolitionist, but I'm also a realist. I'm not laboring under some misconception that this person is going to suddenly be overwhelmed with guilt and want to have a restorative moment with me. Oh, let me get this straight. You know the guy's a psychopathic criminal who stole your crap. You're willing to let him go out and hurt other people because you just don't want to. You don't want to enact, turn him into the police. You do know that he's a bad person. You do know that he did a bad thing. And you do know they didn't do it for any kind of and she says, well, he might just be out there selling it for $20 for crack. It's like, oh my God. Mm-mm. She says, there is a strong misconception in our country and in DC, which is my area, that police keep us safe, solve crimes, and recover stolen property. But none of these things are true. Maybe because you won't report them even when you have a video. I have more faith in my community rallying than I do in law enforcement. Well, let's just see if your community will bring back the 2 paintings. This is stupidity. This is what I'm talking about. People, they made bad choices and I don't want to do. And no, they're criminals. They're criminals. And when we don't do something about criminal behavior, it grows because criminals, one of the things that stops criminals is thinking they're going to go to prison. They'll be a little bit more reluctant. But if they're given free rein and they know they're never going to get charged with anything, or if they do, they're just going to walk away and it doesn't matter, you're going to have rampant criminal behavior, which we are seeing. Rampant carjacking, rampant shoplifting, rampant murder, rampant violence on the streets. We're seeing it. And I am saying this I've lived in my area for a long time. Prince George's County is out of control. DC is out of control. And even now they're going, we got to do something because it's dangerous. And I have never felt that way in Washington, D.C. before. So, yeah, it's dangerous. So I think that's just amazing. The thinking is crazy. Yeah, psychos don't usually feel remorse. This is very true. Let's see what else you guys say. She doesn't believe in guns, believe me. She doesn't believe in guards. She doesn't believe in stopping people from doing bad things. No, she's not insured. She's a small artist. Somebody steals my crap out of someplace. I'm not getting any money back. No. That. So she takes it. Oh, this is a good point. She takes it as publicity. Yeah. I'll go with that. She sounds ridiculous to me, but to a certain group of people, yes, she's going to come off as, yeah, that's good publicity. Good point. I like it. That's good criminal profiling there. And we're having a lot of this. There's a fellow who was just in New York. He was totally against doing anything with the criminals, and some guy came up and stabbed him on the street, and he died. There's nothing wrong with wanting to change a system, working with a system, but you have to be realistic when you're dealing with psychopathy and say, do you understand what you're actually dealing with? As a matter of fact, I want to read this to you because this was really fascinating to me. This is hold on, I forgot, I gotta find it. This guy wrote an article and it's called, I better find that. Do not tell me. Oh yeah, here we go. Okay, this is in HuffPost. And I found it a fascinating article. See if you get this with me. My dad had a shameful compulsion. I never thought I'd grow up to share the same secret. Shameful compulsion his dad had. All right, let me tell you what happened. I didn't get to take a picture of them. So here it is. That was Daddy, and that's the little boy. All right. When he was a little boy. Now he's a grown man. But he's a grown man enough, he should know better by now. All right. Listen to what he says. The story. As we stepped through the sliding doors of Walgreens, my dad's words hung in the air. Avoid contact with me, he muttered. I need to pick up my pills. Wait for me in the toy aisle. The doors closed behind us with a whoosh, and I watched him, unable to tear my eyes away. Before reaching the pharmacy window, he grabbed 2 small boxes off the shelf and discreetly slipped them into a pocket of his shiny Chicago Cubs jacket. My dad, a proud recovering alcoholic and a devoted Alcoholics Anonymous member, had replaced his addiction to heroin, cocaine, and booze with an unlikely substitute, Afrin nasal spray, which he referred to as nose drops. The more troubling addiction was how he acquired them. The scene played out far too often in my prepubescent years. As he pocketed items, I surreptitiously scanned our surroundings, mortified, hoping no one else had noticed. I'd keep my eyes locked on the store employees, watching for signs of suspicion. I loved my dad's free spirit. Whoa, criminality is a free spirit. I've never thought of it that way, but if I had a free spirit, I could get a lot more stuff in life. Free spirit, generosity. Well, because he's still in crap and can give it to you, and a zest for life. But I wanted to be nothing like him in these moments. Okay, now mind you, what he was addicted to heroin, cocaine, and booze. That's very expensive. Now he just needs some Afrin nose drops, and he can't afford to pay for them. Okay, my dad worked as a truck driver in the auto used parts business. Probably was a hack. He probably had a chop shop, a gritty and unglamorous trade. Yeah, because probably had a chop shop in a painfully middle-class town. What? Why is a middle-class town painful? I was acutely aware of our social standing. Like everybody else in the town was painfully middle-class too. I mean, what's your point? But once Dad shed his overalls, he put effort into looking good, sporting shiny white sneakers and Levi's. As an insecure, closeted gay boy, which has absolutely nothing to do with this, I don't share many of my common interests with my truck-driving, sport-loving father, but commitment to appearance was an unspoken bond. Every weekend, he carried a wad of cash in his pocket, probably from a chop shop, from selling his weekly haul. I could feel his pride in his ability to provide for his family, but I could also sense his anxiety growing as the wad began to shrink. My dad was, again, I love these terms, these adjectives, adventurous, impulsive, and excessively generous. Was probably stuff that he stole, so it's easy to be generous. Often giving away his last penny to make us happy. Sure. I can't pinpoint when my dad began stealing, but I despised it until I started benefiting from it. That apple didn't fall far from that psychopathic tree, now did it? He would take me to the shoe section of Kmart. He didn't even go for good shoes, where I would select a pair to try on. Removing the tags, he would say, I'll pay for these. After he removes the tags, right? Why don't you meet me by the car? I knew what he was up to, but we were both committed to doing whatever we had to look good. The system worked for a long time until one winter day at Kohl's. Please, can I get K-Swiss shoes? I pleaded with my dad on our way to the store. In 1991, the low-top K-Swiss sneakers were all the rage, and I had to have them. And if you've got a dad who's a criminal thief, I guess you're going to get them. At the store, my dad and I found ourselves in the shoe section. We didn't go to the shoe section. We just found ourselves there. You know how that happens. You get out of the car and you're like, oh my God, I didn't realize I was going to be in this section. My heart raced. I knew this was my opportunity. Like a style-seeking missile, I methodically scanned the brightly lit aisles until I spotted the shoes on the top shelf. I grabbed the box, removed the lid, and there they were in my exact size. Try them on, said my dad. Trembling with excitement, I slipped my feet into them and strolled down the aisle feeling transformed, cool and confident. Okay, he said, I'll pay for them and meet you in the car. Stealing shoes was so normal to me that I wasn't even nervous. I exited the first of the two sets of glass doors. The bright winter sun bouncing off the snowy parking lot blinded me. I was contemplating how to keep my shoes pristine when I was jolted from my thoughts by a firm grip on my shoulder. I turned to find the imposing face of a giant security guard. Come with me. My body stiffened and my heart raced. Just as it had at Walgreens, shame and embarrassment washed over me. Why? Because you're thieves or because you got caught? When my dad walked through the glass doors, I was relieved he was there to bail me out. But then I saw his cheek muscles bulging and his fingers twitching in a nervous tick. I looked at him, desperate for comfort, but received only an ominous nod. We were escorted to a small room in the back of the store, and I sat down trembling while my dad hovered near the door. My old shoes rested in the K-Swiss box on the table. The guard asked, did you pay for the shoes you're wearing? I waited for my dad to speak. I always assumed that if we ever got caught, he would save the day with a charming explanation like I'd seen him get out of speeding tickets. He remained silent. Take one for the team, bud. At that moment, I knew I was abandoned. I shouldered the blame, omitting my dad's role. The security guard let us go once my old shoes were back on my feet, but I left with shame I would carry with me for a long time. After that, I avoided shopping excursions with my dad, and part of the connection we shared, however unhealthy, was severed. That's a good thing. I can't say for certain whether my dad stopped stealing, but it likely coincided with his diagnosis of cancer. And so he couldn't go out and steal anymore because he couldn't get out of the house. I didn't steal anything for the next 13 years until he passed away when I was 25. Then he starts stealing. Seriously, he starts stealing. For nearly a decade, he's been stealing in this self-destructive cycle. And I'm going to go into all the rest of it, but he says here at the end, when I reflect on the childhood incident at Coles, I don't feel angry at my father. I've come to understand he lacked the strength to speak up for me. No, your dad was a psychopath. Your dad was willing to let you go to prison rather than him. He's a psychopath. He didn't care about you one smidge. Just because he gave you stolen items doesn't make him a good guy. You are so screwed up. You're screwed up because, first of all, you don't know your dad's a psychopath. Secondly, you don't know that you're criminal. And you have a lot of very concerning criminal activities. You don't care that you steal from other people. I'd say that's a problem. It's not just, I eat too much. When you eat too much, you're not committing a crime. If you go home and you sit in your house and you drink a 6-pack of beer, you're not committing a crime. Maybe if you drink 2 12-packs and go on the road, yes, you're risking people's lives. What you do in your own home, I don't care. But when you go out there and you steal from other people, you're a thief. Your father was a psychopathic thief. You're a thief too. I'm not sure I want to be around you either. But hey, you can write an article for the HuffPost and relieve yourself of all the guilt you feel by being a piece of crap. Anyway, thoughts? Not that I wanted to let you know how I feel about all this. Oh my goodness. But what, he has this, it's not recognizing that your father's a psychopath and that you too are not a very ethical human being, and he says, the thing is, he's got to confront his fears and find his strength. What is he finding his strength? What is he doing? He still says he's healing himself and he's walking a journey of self-discovery. He's never said, I was just a freaking crook. I was a cheap crook like my dad. And now I've learned that I should have better ethics, better morals, and I should never have done what I did. I don't know what. Now he just says, I feel good when I see my reflection, no matter what shoes I'm wearing. You're still blaming the fact you're a criminal on the fact that you felt you had to have better shoes? Really? Woof, woof. Oh my goodness. I thought that was a fascinating article though. Let's see. Sarah says stealing was a gateway to all his other issues, allegedly. To me, stealing, I have more problems with that than a lot of other things, because it's very clear to me that this is mine and that is not mine. I mean, it's that simple. It's different, other things that you might do that are just stupid. The bad behaviors are stupid is one thing. But when you reach across and take something that doesn't belong to you, it's such a clear line to me. It's the same thing when people say, well, he jumped out of a bush and raped somebody and murdered them. I'm like, or just raped them. You don't even know the person. It's a stranger. You jump out of a bush and rape them. That line is so thick that you've got no excuse. I understand date stuff. You go and you're both drinking and everybody knows, no, where's that gray line, But you jump out of a bush and you rape somebody, a stranger, you're a psychopath. And you committed one heck of a crime. And to me, to reach out and steal something that doesn't belong to me, it's obvious to me it doesn't belong to me. I mean, it's not a question. I know it doesn't belong to me. So why am I taking it when it does not belong to me? Now, some people will say, well, it's justified because it's the store is just going to get back on insurance. It still does not belong to you. You cannot possibly walk into a store and say, I'm going to take this item, put it in my purse, and walk out of here. Because it's not a big deal. It's a huge deal. You're a thief. Now, there are people who are thieves who turn their lives around and become not thieves. Okay? But the first thing they got to do is say, I'm a thief. That dude was a thief and a criminal. His father was a psychopath and a criminal. I don't know if he's a psychopath too. Maybe he is. But he never, ever dealt with the truth. All he did was say, I've gotten over the fact I need better shoes. That is not it. Really, this is true? Alyssa says, reminds me of Rex Herman got in trouble for stealing the Free Kids Clementines at Whole Foods. And those suckers are expensive. Really? Oh, that's interesting. Wow. Oh, that's a good point. And Deanie says, like a peeping Tom, thinking watching isn't hurting anybody. And the funny thing is, the reason they do it is exactly because it is hurting someone. See, this is the thing. The thrill. Most of the stuff people steal is something they could have afforded. That's what's always interesting to me. They steal the guy stole Afrin? Seriously? The guy works, well, as I say, a chop shop. He used to do heroin. He can't afford nasal spray. Come on now. He took it because he could. The thrill was this theft. The power you get out of stealing. So a lot of times, this crap that they couldn't afford it is simply absolutely not true. Now, if a guy, for example, has 3 children dying at home, let's say he lives in a poor country and his children, their bones are showing, and he steals a loaf of bread, I might actually say, I get it. You stole it because the choice became my children dying or this guy, I know I'm a thief and the guy doesn't deserve to have his bread stolen, but I'll do anything to save my children. That's one thing. But stealing perfume because you want to smell good on your date, there's no excuse for that because you're a thief and you didn't need it. So it's just unbelievable. And that's, well, you got another point there. Now we're assuming that son here seems to think that his dad has quit his drugs, but it doesn't mean he has, because dad is a liar. So how does he know what's anything true with his dad? So his dad has got a lot of issues, and most of them are psychopathy. But but it's just amazing how people just can blind themselves to, especially parents. Sometimes this is unfortunate. It's like, let's say you've got 2 sets of parents. Over here, you've got these 2 lovely people. They're kind, they're hardworking, they like to help people. I mean, they're just great people. And you roll the dice and you go, oh gosh, I get to be their baby, and you born there. And then you're like, oh, everything, you grow up and everything's grand. You didn't choose those 2 great people. That's your fortune. Now, I don't get into the religious aspects of this, whether you believe in reincarnation and karma, or you believe in Christian stuff, or you believe in just nothing at all. But the point is, maybe there is some reason you ended up there, but I'm not saying there is. Okay, I'm just saying you ended up there. Over here, you get psychopath and his poor wife, who's married to him and does whatever he says. And you're this baby and you get born to them. Well, you grow up with a psychopathic dad and a mother who's beaten down. It's not your fault, but that's what you got. So sometimes later in life, people try to cling to wanting their parents to be something that they're not. But if they're not, they're not. And you have to let it, at some point, the most healthful thing you can do is say, accept what it is. It's like, I got the bad parent lottery thing, It's a fact. And I'm just glad I'm still here. I'm glad I've been able to make something in my life, but I put up a little moat between myself and the person that wasn't quite the parent I wish they would have been. And I'm not going to spend my time trying to fix them because I can't. I'm not going to spend my time trying to feel bad about them or feel like whatever. Just I'm going to let it go. And it's hard, but if that's the way it is, that's the way it is. And the best thing is to be able to accept it and not pretend there's something that they're not. because then you spend a lot of time trying to fix a situation you can't fix. So, but I just found that story just so bizarre. Um, mm, um, it doesn't matter. I mean, they have to keep they have to keep covering the costs. The prices that they're building in are what we pay. So those people who are in the store stealing crap are stealing from you. They're stealing from me. When you go in there and you find you have to pay a fortune for something, it's because of the criminals. So they're stealing from you. They're not stealing from the stores. The stores will always find a way. Like I think that's what you're pointing out. Stores will always find a way to have to try to recoup their losses. But the person paying is you. And that's why our lives are harder, because somebody's stolen straight from us, essentially. Let's see what else I want to talk about before I finish up here. This is interesting. Kenneth Law. We're talking about people that people don't understand. This guy is a serial killer, but people don't seem to realize he's a serial killer. He is in Canada. Let me find it. Hang on, let me find it. Okay, here it is. In Canada, police are investigating 100 suicides. 100 suicides linked to a Canadian man. The Canadian police charged Kenneth Law, aiding 14 suicides, and 88 other deaths are being reviewed. Now, what is he doing? Kenneth Law is 57 years old. He lives near Toronto. He's accused of operating a group of businesses that shipped about 1,200 packages of toxic salt to people in 40 countries, fulfilling orders placed on his website. The toxic salt is sodium nitrate. People use it. It's a food preservative, but people use it to commit suicide. So 272 people have, 88 people have died from this. So there is not yet a prosecution in Canada, but he's pled not guilty, of course. Where is he at? He is in Ontario now in a jail. Oh no, there's never been anything like this before. So the charges come against Mr. Law as Canada is debating a recent loosening of its federally assisted suicide law, which has made the country's policy one of the most liberal in the world. But they requires people to be terminally ill. If you send poison through the mail to them, you have no idea if they're like a 14-year-old kid, a 21-year-old who's just depressed. That's pretty awful. So if you aid or abet suicide, you can get 14 years in prison, but that's a maximum. Now, this fellow, let's see what's going to happen to him. He was arrested in May and charged with 2 cases. 12 other charges were laid last month. He worked as a cook at a luxury hotel, and he was terminated by the hotel. Apparently, they don't like him. The suicides that Mr. Law has been charged with in connection took place at 2020 when police believe he began the online businesses. All right, so I call him a serial killer. Why do I say that? Now, he knows that people who buy this are trying to kill themselves. He's willing just to make some money, supposedly. That's the whole reason. He's just doing this to make money. He's willing to sell this to them when he knows it'll kill them. I don't care about the money issue, whether he thinks that's part of the reasons, but I'll tell you, anybody who knows that they're killing people is getting a cheap thrill out of it. Every person he sends it to, he goes, ha ha, I killed you. That's a serial killer. They should charge him with serial homicides. But I'm afraid he's not going to get much because the people took that stuff themselves. They made the choice. And so he's only providing them with the ability to kill themselves. But he knows what it's for, and he knows what they're willing to do. Now, does everybody who buys the stuff end up killing themselves? Probably not. But he's going to be aware that a good portion of them will kill themselves. And that's a big, cheap thrill. He's a serial killer. But I don't think it's going to be looked at that way. I think it's just one of those weird serial killer versions which people overlook as being Kevorkian. Kevorkian, he's always been an odd character in that at least he had theoretically terminal people that he was trying to spare the last days of misery. I could see there's some moral acceptance to that. But when you sell poison through the mail, and it could be going to a 21-year-old, a 25-year-old, a 30-year-old who just isn't, having a bad couple months, you're providing them. It's just no different than when somebody says, "Here's the gun, shoot yourself in the head." Now, if you have an 85-year-old man who shoots his wife in the head because she's been laying there screaming day after day after day, and she's 88 years old, I get it. But if that same 88-year-old man hands a gun to his grandson, who's 25 and is sad that some girl broke up with him, that dude's a killer. There's a big difference between the two, and we do have to understand the difference between that. Oh, the Space Needle. I've been there. Oh, well, sorry. Where'd the Space Needle go? I went to the Space Needle in Seattle, and I enjoyed it. And I'm not a height person, but I did walk on the glass thing and look down. So I'm getting better. He did like it. Oh, and he liked the sensationalism. Well, you see, motives are always mixed and many. People often say, "What was the motive?" Well, we got many motives for things. So oftentimes we have 5 or 6 different motives, and we can't even pinpoint. Even the person themselves may not be able to pinpoint the most important motive out of the many that they have. That's tricky. It gets very tricky. Euthanasia is being legalized in many EU countries, but mailing out salts for money, thinking, what the heck is different? Yes, this is what's different. And to downplay that is concerning to me, because it's not okay. Let's see what else I want to point out here. This guy's name is Chamberlain. He went before the parole board because he shot this police officer many years ago. And he said this convicted killer apologized to the family of the fallen officer. Now, this guy, two officers were dispatched to this home, and because a woman said she was being, like, her husband was out of control, he showed up at the door and said, "Hey, come on in. It's all okay." He got the cops in the house, and then he shot them, and one of them died. He's now 77 years old, and he's before the parole board, and he says he's sorry. And the family said, "Well, he said all the right things until he said, well, it was their fault for coming in the house." And then I changed my mind. What you got to see was a psychopath still faking, first of all, lying that he gave a crap, and secondly, blaming the victim. That's a psychopath. So they're like, "Yep, leave him in the prison. We don't want him out." And so I've always thought parole boards are weird things in many ways, because a parole board, the killer or whatever, whomever, goes before the parole board. Now, they've been practicing for months, even years sometimes, with their defense attorney, with a psychologist, to learn what to say to the parole board. And then the parole board goes, "Oh, he seems like he's reformed. It seems like he feels bad now. Get out of here. That's a psychopath fooling you." I mean, it amazes me. This whole parole board thing sometimes. It's like you go there and you try to lie your way out. And I don't know that the parole board has, it's like a jury. Is the parole board full of profilers, or is it people from the community? I can't remember. What is I'm going to look that up right now. Who is on a parole board? I think, I just think I don't know who is on a parole board. Let's see. A parole board consists of people qualified to make judgments. Oh, okay, at least that. About the suitability of a prisoner to return to free society. Members may be judges, psychiatrists, or criminologists, although some jurisdictions do not have written qualifications for parole board members and allow community members to serve on them. So there you go. So it all depends. So hopefully they have some kind of background, but I see an awful lot of parole boards let people slide through, and I wonder who is on those parole boards. I don't know if any of you ever been on a parole board or believed in, know what your parole board area is about, because, I haven't dealt with that in a long time, parole boards, so I've forgotten all about that. So that's interesting if you got any ideas on that. Let's see. I had a couple more things I want to talk about. Let's see. Okay. All right. I'm going to get to the last thing, and then I'll just open up for any thoughts, and we'll see where we're at. All right. So I wanted to do this at the end. So this is Maya Kowalski, and this is the one. This is, I believe, the doctor in Mexico who gave her the ketamine coma, and oh, that's not it. Okay, so we're here. So what I want to talk about was this. All right, so I don't want to get into the issues of the disease she has and whether ketamine is a good treatment. What I only want to point out is what the father said in court, because people keep asking me, what's happening in court? What's happening in court? This is the case where Maya Kowalski, and I did a video on it. I'll link it below. That Maya Kowalski was a 9-year-old who father brought her in for severe stomach pain, and mother came and said, Beata said she has this, this syndrome, which is really bad. She's in extraordinary pain. I wanted to have ketamine. The hospital wanted to analyze this further and didn't want to go with what the mother said. And eventually the mother lost custody for 3 months because they thought the mother was Munchausen syndrome by proxy. And I'll get into all that in my thing. But here's what I found interesting in the trial. The father, they asked him some interesting questions. Let me see if I can find it. And I thought this was just something concerning to me. Okay, it's going to take me a while to find it. Where did I put it? Nope, not that either. Hold on a second. Okay, here we go. Okay, why was Maya taking ketamine? Beata Kowalski was a registered nurse who learned about CRPS, that's a disease the syndrome that Maya had, from an infusion patient. Remember, this is one of the things. Beata was an infusion nurse. She went to homes and infused people, which concerns me right there because she has access to drugs and pain issues. And so I still would like there to be an investigation of the people she actually cared for, because it reminds me a lot of women with Munchausen syndrome or Munchausen syndrome by proxy, essentially, who work on midnight shifts at nursing homes and kill patients because it thrills them. But she didn't do that, but she worked infusing patients. And I just liked that's managing their pain, which can be a good thing, but it also can be concerning as far as if they have a personality disorder. So anyway, that's where she learned about the ketamine to give to her daughter to stop her daughter's pain, was from patients. And she began researching the disease, and her research led her to Dr. Anthony Kirkpatrick, who prescribed ketamine treatments. And my concern here with that is reason I think I have concerns about him is that it seemed very quick that they went to ketamine rather than doing strong physical therapy and other things that were lesser. Ketamine is a treatment, but for that age is concerning. He explained the procedure. He talked about how it's been around for quite a long time. He mentioned its use for many things and it's safe. Jack Kowalski stated during testimony on Monday. The side effect when they're coming out of it is hallucinations for a short time, but then everything is back to normal. Upon cross-examination, his defense attorneys from the hospital said, what about when you went to Mexico? Okay. Let's see if I've lost what did I do with that part of it? Sorry, hold on a second. Have I lost that one thing? Oh, here we go. So they took her to Mexico. Now, mind you, this is very short time into how long she's had this syndrome. They did not do a lot of other kinds of therapy, like holding off until until you can't take, there's nothing left. They went very quickly to ketamine, and then they went very quickly to taking her to Mexico, because the U.S. won't allow this, to put her in a ketamine coma. Now, what's interesting about this to me is that they had to put her in a ketamine coma. That means the general ketamine that we're giving her wasn't working. This is the same ketamine that Beata pressured the hospital to give her. It wasn't working before the coma. It stopped working after a period of time after the coma, and then she was still pushing the ketamine treatment. So, yeah, but what concerns me is that in a very short period of time, they went to Mexico to do a treatment that the U.S. didn't approve of. And here's what they asked. Were you aware that the risk of death from the coma was 50%? Asked Ethan Shapiro. Kowalski, that's the dad, responded, there is a risk in every procedure. 50% is not a risk in every procedure. 50% is scary as all get out. 5% you still worry about. 50%, So this is what this guy says. The lawyer says, I understand that Mr. Kowalski, I understand that, Mr. Kowalski, but respectfully, there's a risk, and then there's a risk of a coin flip in which your daughter could pass. In other words, 1 out of 2 that she's going to die in this thing. She's just a little kid. I don't know if she was 8 at that time. She was 9, I think, in the hospital. Was she 8? 8 years old? And they apparently, according to the clinic, it was the youngest person they ever had do the ketamine coma. I don't know how the next youngest was. Was the next youngest 21? They were willing to take in Mexico, because I'm going to say this. I've traveled in places in the world where you do things and you know you're never going to be able to sue. I was in Egypt. I pet a lion in the zoo. And the lion wasn't in a good mood. And I remember thinking, if that lion attacks me, we're not going to be able to sue. So there's places in the world where you can go scuba diving and die, and other things, because they don't have good safety procedures. So if you go down to Mexico, good luck suing. So 1 out of 2 chances your daughter will die. Youngest child ever to get this treatment in this location. And what did he say? This is the father's response. Then they asked, did you know it was 50%? Shapiro pressed on. Did you know it was 50%? Kowalski responds with this. They stated it was 50%, but they stated no one ever died from that procedure. What? If it's 50%, 1 out of every other person dies from that procedure. That's what makes it 50%. If no one ever died from that procedure, it would be 0%. Can you not do basic math, Mr. Kowalski? And if they told you it was 50%, and then they told you nobody ever died of it, they're liars. They're liars, and you're taking your 8-year-old child, willing to put her into a coma, that they just lied about how safe it is. All because what? She's been in pain for a few months? Not because it's been 5 years, you've done everything in the world, you've done every physical therapy, everything you can possibly do, and you just given up? No. Rush right off to Mexico to do a questionable treatment, 50% chance of death. And I'm going to say, this was not Mr. Kowalski's idea. This was Beata Kowalski's idea. And he's just going along with the program now because they're in a court of law and they're suing for $200 million. Because once Beata got, after Beata killed herself, the child came home from the hospital, got no more ketamine, got physical therapy, and is today a pretty healthy woman. Not pain-free necessarily, but she does all kinds of stuff. That she walks, she's not in a wheelchair, she plays piano, she participates in ice skating. So this to me was huge in the trial. They tell you your child's 1 out of 2 chances she's going to die, and you do it anyway when she's 8 years old. Something's wrong here. Something's seriously wrong here. And then they're going to tell you, but nobody's ever died of it. You can't do the most basic math. I'm having issues. So anyway, not because she might not have the disease that the family claims she has. I'm not saying she doesn't have the disease. I'm just saying the family's behavior, Beata's behavior, and now the father, I think it's just going all over the program, because I call him in any one of these relationships, he's the dolt. He's the one that caves to his wife, and she controls things. And I think that statement right there just makes me think that the hospital has, that was a terrible statement to make in a court. I don't know how it's going to go over with the jury, but to me, it's like, I mean, not that it's not, I'm not against the treatment of ketamine. It's just like this whole thing is crazy. So anyway, I don't want to get into, all right. Okay. As I said, Sarah, I don't want to get into this. I know you're real big on this, and I don't want to get into a discussion of the disease, which is why I put it at the very last bit. But what he said is not right. What he said is not right. If I were a parent and my spouse said, want to take my kid after just a few months to a clinic and put her in a coma that was 50-50 chance she's going to die, I would have issues. There's something seriously wrong about that. So anyway, that's my last statement on this. I'm going to get away before we get into a big thing on it, but I just wanted to bring it up because people had asked me, and I found that fascinating. That's just, if I were on the jury right there, I'd be going, we got problems with the parents. Not that there aren't realistic things that, at the hospital you might be concerned about, because I say I'm not a lover of a lot of hospital methodologies, but that is concerning. I see a pattern of doctors shopping with Beata, a push for just drugs and very little else, and a push to the most drastic choices. And then when she got to the hospital, Beata didn't take her, the father did. She comes in and makes the demands right away. And being a nurse, you should know that she wants to go back a little bit and go a little slower so she can work with these doctors, but she didn't. And that's why they suspected she was Munchausen syndrome by proxy, which is not unreasonable. It doesn't mean the child didn't have the syndrome. It just means that some people take advantage of people's syndromes or diseases. They do, and because they can now manipulate. And a lot of times we see this with people get into the nursing profession because they have great deal of control and power. And that's what we see with Lucy Letby. It's not that she didn't take care of babies. It's not that the babies weren't sick in the ICU. It's just that she made them sicker or deader. So there you go. So it's sometimes just pushing it to the very edge is the thrill and the power and control. And I believe when Beata lost that power and control, she wasn't willing to continue, and so she wanted everybody to pay for what she lost, which is power and control. Anyway, that's going to be the end of it. I'm going to go make my little dinner, take my granddaughter to soccer practice. Anything else I want to say? And we're still here. Does that mean Verizon fixed this? Oh my God, I so hope so. It is so stressful. I can't tell you what it's like to start a show and just think it's going to crash in the middle of it. And then you're like, what am I supposed to do? What do I do if it doesn't fix? What if every time I come to do a show, it crashes? What do I do? And literally I'd have to, if I couldn't fix it here, I'd literally have to change locations. Like just get on a plane and go to another country and sit there for 6 months, because I wouldn't be able to run the show if I can't do the shows. So it's crazy, but I'm hoping this guy who knows the family, we lucked out, I think. Yeah, I think maybe he's fixed it. Well, I can't tell by one show, but I haven't seen a disaster, so I'm absolutely thrilled. So, yes, there's hope. There's hope. There's hope. So anyway, thank you, Michaela. I appreciate that. This is, all these shows are always just fun to do because it's just all kinds of stuff that's coming in and interesting stuff, and I never know what I'm going to find by the time of the show. So I'm glad everybody is here. That's fantastic. So I'm going to leave it alone, Sarah. Sarah and I have agreed to disagree on this because we still want to be friends, and we both still like Tupac. And I appreciate Sarah being willing to be nice about that. People say, oh my God, you just block people because they don't agree with you. No, I don't block people because they don't agree with me. I block people because they call me names. Is that like a little teapot? I love you, Sarah. It's all good. It's all good. And that's why I like Patreon, because we've learned to be friends here too, and that's great. So we can have a discussion. Although I do control discussions. This is my show. So, anyway, thank you guys for being here. And what am I going to do on Saturday? All right, Saturday show. I was requested, and I started to look at this case, and I thought to myself, I don't know, I'm missing too much information, blah blah blah. But then I started getting sort of semi-obsessed with it, so I'm going to do it, and it is going to be. Hold on a second. What's her name? Okay, I forgot who asked me for this, but it is going to be Patrice Endres. Patrice Endres. She was a woman who went to work at her hair salon and vanished in 13 minutes. And I'm going to send over the thing soon. It's over on Netflix, and it's going to be Unsolved Mysteries, and it's going to be called 13 Minutes. And I got to tell you, you want to watch this. Yeah, it's called, let me be sure I get the right name. I started crying right there. Okay, hold on a second. I think it's V1E2. That's what it's called. 13 minutes on Netflix, Unsolved Mysteries. You got to watch it because you got to see Patrice Endrace's husband, who is, let me put it this way, 99% of the internet community, Reddit, every other place, thinks this guy did it. Ken Main says absolutely not. So it is really a fascinating case. So you got to check it out. It's called 13 Minutes. So 13 minutes. It's on Netflix. Unsolved Mysteries. It's I think it's season 1, episode 2. It's called 13 Minutes, and her name is Patrice Endrace, Endres. I'll be sending over the show links later, but I've got another couple days to like drive myself insane trying to figure some of this stuff out. So it's really fascinating. Carpool was canceled. Well, I'm not seeing a soccer game. I'm just dropping my granddaughter off. And then all the games have been canceled this weekend. So probably Saturday at 3:00 will be my usual time. And that's what I'll be doing. So anyway, thank you for being here. Everybody who's a patron and everybody who's not a patron, please do like the video, subscribe to the channel, check all my playlists. I have Hangouts, which is like 109 now. You can just find all the different topics. And then I've got my case list with all the different cases I've ever done, which is a lot now. Anything, and put in, if you go to the YouTube search engine, just put in Profiler Pat Brown in any case you're interested in, any name, and see if I've already done the show. Because a lot of times it's there. And some people just go and start going through the whole playlist. I also have Dear Profiler Pat if you want a little advice from me. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff. So check it all out and keep this channel going. All right. Thank you. Where are you going? Where are you going, Texas Redhead? Couple weeks. Are you going on a vacation? Ooh. I want to do one of those. Cool, Harp. I'm glad you'll be there on Saturday. So anyway, thanks everybody for being here. You've all been great. And thank you for supporting me on the very unusual open public live and supporting that one financially. So it wasn't a complete like toss it off a cliff type of thing. So anyway, thank you very much. And I'll see you on Saturday if you're here. Bye.